Hi book friends, I'm Erin and this is Erin Go Read. So instead of finishing 2018 off with a bang and that's the last book of the year, let's go 2019, I'm really excited about all these new books. What I ended up doing is what I commonly do, is I get distracted and I see some new shiny book over there and I'm really enjoying the book that I'm reading, but then I see this other thing, and so then I start multi-reading 3, 4, 5 books at once. And I'm not against multi-reading, but I let it kind of get out of control sometimes, and then I find that I end up not getting the enjoyment that I should be getting from each book because I haven't given the time. I haven't given it its due time, and I stretch it out too long, or I just am distracted, so I get pulled out of the story and what the author is doing. But I really found I kind of ruined almost Sally Rooney's Normal People for myself because I was doing that. And I ended up reading the last maybe 75 pages or so pretty much uninterrupted. And I enjoyed it so much more. I got so much more out of that last 75 pages, not because of where the story went, but because of the way that I was reading the book was so much more concentrated. And so while I'm not saying that I'm not going to multi-read, I really need to get a handle on that. And so I made myself stop reading a couple of the books that I picked up at the beginning of January so I could finish the books and devote the time to them that they were due, finish the 2018 books, enjoy them each individually so I can enjoy the books that I pick up later in the month. I wanted to do a little check-in, what I have read this month so far, what I'm reading now, and what I plan to be reading for the rest of January 2019. The first pick here is When Hitler Stole Pink Rabbit by Judith Kerr. So I'm reading this because Jen Campbell over at Jen Campbell is doing a review for the website, I believe it's a website, Toast. And so it's just a short little historical fiction, under 200 pages, about a little Jewish girl living in Germany. It starts off right before the election where Hitler is elected, and her father is a well-known writer who is very outspoken against the Nazis. And so it's about them fleeing Germany and the life that they live as they move along, and the experiences through the eyes of this young girl. I think she's 11. So this was really great. I think 5 stars for what it is. The writing's not going to blow you away, as it's meant for kids, but it's very effective in illustrating what that life would have been like as a young girl, and what the families went through during that time. A book I started after Christmas and just finished a few days ago, again because I was reading too many books at once, is Robert Galbraith's The Cuckoo's Calling. I did really enjoy this book. I think probably 4 stars for me. I'm really excited to get on to the next book, and I don't know if it's because this is the first book in a series. It starts off kind of slow, just as you're getting to know the characters, and because you're getting to know the characters of Cormoran and Robin, who in this book is a temp secretary. And then at the same time, you have the mystery going on, which he's slowly figuring out, and they eventually solve at the end, of course. So what I really appreciated was that I didn't realize when I went into this is that Cormoran is an Army veteran. He was an amputee. And so my husband, being a U.S. Marine, an injured U.S. Marine, that was just a little extra special touch for me, that I have an extra affection, I think, for Cormoran. And then I think probably due to his observation skills from the Army, and then now as a private detective, I really like the little things that he notices about Robin, and how a lot of times men are at least depicted, if not in real life accurately, as not picking up on little subtleties. But because that's basically his job, he sees these things in Robin that most people probably wouldn't ordinarily see. And I've listened to one audiobook, and that is Anne Tyler's A Spool of Blue Thread. This was my first Anne Tyler. I own 3 or 4 of her books due to BookTube recommendations, and this was the first one I got around to. So I really enjoyed it. It's a family drama. It takes place in multiple timelines as you have the present family scenario and dynamics, and then you learn pieces of the past from each of these different from different perspectives of the family. I enjoyed it as a whole. There were a few lulls for me. Some of the past bits I wasn't as interested in, but they added to the whole, so they were necessary. One of the characters, one of the grandparents, really reminds me of my own grandma, so I kind of appreciated that. But so this, I have probably like 3.5 stars for me. I'll definitely read more Anne Tyler. I also think that I'm just kind of new to contemporary, and it's not something that I've ever read a lot of. And so, oh, that's my dog sniffing me, if you can see his little head. Hello. And so it'll be interesting if, as I read more contemporary, how I feel about it. Do I jive with it? This kind of slice of life looks at people's lives. I just realized that this won the Pulitzer Prize. So I don't know if I'm missing something. There's nothing wrong with this book. I don't know. I feel like with contemporaries, I just don't pick up on like that special thing that other people might. So I don't know. It's a great book. It's not going to be an all-time favorite or anything of mine. But Pulitzer Prize winner there. Within the first few days of January, I finished Charles Dickens' Great Expectations, and this is the beautiful Penguin cloth-bound classic edition. I started this at the end of Nonfiction November, but again, that multi-reading got me again. I was reading too many other things, and I was really enjoying this. There was nothing wrong with this that made me not pick it up. So I was reading it in bits and pieces, and it's pretty long. So when you read a long book in bits and pieces, it takes you a long time to read it. So I wasn't really focused on finishing this until probably the last few days of December. I really buckled down and read it. And again, I enjoy a book so much more when I really devote the time to it and kind of concentrate on one thing at a time. So I'm not sure if I rated this on Goodreads yet. I'm between a 4 and a 5. Sometimes I have to think, but really great book. I'm interested for sure in reading more Dickens. I probably will read Oliver Twist next. I loved the movie when I was a kid. My sister and I were always singing the songs. And so I think that's probably where my heart will take me next. On to what I'm currently reading. So I am reading Vox by Christina Dalcher. I think that's how you say that. This is a library book. This is what my library calls a lucky day. So I think there's like high demand for this book and you can't renew it. And today is the 7th and it's due on the 10th. So I am almost halfway through this. So right now I am solely focusing on this. I'm really enjoying it. It's a dystopian in which it's basically present time or like very, very near future. And there's been a huge pendulum swing to the Christian right, the very, very far Christian right, where biblical principles like women being submissive to men, and particularly women being silent, are taken to the nth degree, and the government is now running on these biblical principles. Without, by the way, any mention of Jesus Christ, of eternal relationship with God. That doesn't seem to be any part of anyone's motivation, just that we need to keep women subservient and submissive and quiet because that's what the Bible says. So women in this book wear a counter on their wrist. They call it a bracelet, but it's a counter, and it counts the amount of words that they say, and once they hit 100 words, if they go beyond that, they will end up getting like a terrible shock to where they will not want to go beyond that. So this has great impact on the entire country. All of society essentially changes. You lose almost half of the workforce because, of course, if you can't say more than 100 words in a day, you can't work. Women are meant to be in the home. So really interesting part of this for me is, although I'm not currently working as a speech-language pathologist, I have a master's degree in speech-language pathology. And our main character is a cognitive linguist. And so there are a lot of little speechy things in here which most people aren't going to get and aren't going to appreciate in the way that I do. But I'm like, she's talking about phonemes and diphthongs, and I got all excited about that. I don't want to give too much away, but a situation arises where she is able to at least temporarily get her bracelet removed so that she can help someone close to the president. So she is not okay with this new living situation of purity is what they're looking for. Pure men and pure women and pure children. And she's not on board with this. And she, I think, is going to take this opportunity to make some sort of drastic change. So I'm really excited to see where this goes. This next book I have already started. This was one that got lumped into the end of December. I just kept picking up books left and right. And so I've started this and made myself stop, even though I was very much enjoying it, so that I can finish the other books. So that is Daughter of the Forest by Juliette Marillier. This has been, I've been beaten over the head by Jean over at Jean's Bookish Thoughts to read this book. And so I'm really enjoying it. And I can totally see reading this whole series. Sorka, the main character, is the only daughter in a family of 6 boys. And this is at least starts off as a retelling of, I'm not sure the name of the actual fairy tale, but it's the like the fairy tale of the 7 swans or something like that, or the 6 swans. It's beautiful writing. I'm really interested in the premise and where we go with it. And I'm not sure how many books are in this series, but I know there are more, and I'm really excited to finish Vox because I'm really enjoying it, but I also, so I can get back to The Daughter of the Forest. And finally, I can start on my Great American Read project and pick up The Book Thief. And this is ranked number 14 in the Great American Reads Top 100. So I had started this again. I'm on page 67. So this is World War II with Following a Child. I was already reading right before World War II from a child's perspective. So if you're going to multi-read, don't read 2 books that are essentially about the same thing. Not a good multi-reading thing to do. So I put this aside, finished the other books. So probably when I finish Vox, I probably will multi-read between Daughter of the Forest and The Book Thief. So I'm psyched to get started with this one. Jeez. That could have been bad. You okay, buddy? Oh man, I rearranged my bookshelves this morning, and this gigantic Marine Corps book was dictating the size of my shelf spacing, which was a problem. So I moved it to on top of my bookshelf as like a display. This thing is really heavy and it's really big. Like here's The Book Thief next to it. And this guy just fell off the top shelf and fortunately hit me in the leg and not the head, but ow! I live in California. We have earthquakes. I probably shouldn't do that. After I read The Book Thief, I will be digging into Americana by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, which, come on, that's just fun to say. I've heard really great things about this book, about the author, and I'm psyched to get into this one. From January 14th to January 20th, I will participate with one book in the Buzzwordathon. The buzzword is lie, and this is hosted by Lala over at Books and Lala and Natasha at My Reading is Odd. The only book, at least that I found that has the word lie or a version of the word lie on my shelf is The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. So I'm excited to read this one. I haven't read a Ruth Ware yet. Excited to get into a thriller. It's been a few months since I've read one, and participate in the Buzzwordathon. The final book on my TBR for January is Barbara Kingsolver's Unsheltered. As you can see from this little corner emblem here, this is a Book of the Month book edition. This was from November 2018. I subscribed to Book of the Month, I think in October, and I've only read the December book so far. And so I think I need to make kind of a rule for myself that if I'm going to be a subscriber of the Book of the Month Club, part of the purpose of that is that you are getting fresh new releases that have been curated by the people over at Book of the Month. And since they are brand new books, I should read them relatively soon. So I don't want these just wasting away on my bookshelf looking at me, looking pretty. So I read the December book right away, The Far Field, and it was awesome. I just received my January book, The Night Tiger. So that will probably be early February when I pick that one up. So I want to get through Kingsolver's Unsheltered. I'm really excited to read it. I just keep getting distracted by other things. So hopefully in the first few months here, I can read through my backlog of Book of the Month books and then continue on from now on, reading them much more quickly. So this is my currently reading and to be read for January 2019. Thanks for watching. See you around the tubes.